So, are you finding this at all interesting, or should I talk faster so you can leave and go home? Is this okay? Okay. I don't want to be boring, so if you want to leave, please do. So, we have maybe 30 minutes, so I will try to get through everything I have planned. So the question that I would like for you to think about, or hopefully thought about for a few minutes, was, can you think of any other examples of people using social media for a good cause? So, were there any examples that I did not mention? So I talked about the ALS Ice Buckets Challenge, and the Umbrella Movement, and the Arab Spring, and something else that I can't remember right now. So, oh yeah, Kony, thank you. So, are there any other examples, maybe something in Japan, that people used social media for a good cause? Can you think of anything?
What about the cleaning campaign?
The cleaning
The beach or the roads or the community?
Do people use social media for that? Yeah? Okay. So something that might be relevant to Japan. So a lot of people donated for the earthquake tsunami disaster. And so a lot of people put hashtag, do you know hashtag? Hashtag. So this is a hashtag, like on Twitter when you search. So a lot of people maybe put hashtag Japan or hashtag like Japanese tsunami or Japanese earthquake, and or like hashtag Japan Red Cross, something like that. So a lot of people went to Facebook and Twitter and said, oh my gosh, did you hear about the earthquake tsunami that happened in Japan? You should donate. So people used social media to spread the word about the disaster. Like Nepal just happened. A lot of people tweeted and went on Facebook and showed videos and put hashtag Nepal, donate to the Red Cross.
I think TV is a social media, right? You can go, no.
Because a TV is only one way. Like social media needs to be two ways. So TV you can watch, but the TV you can't interact with the TV. So social media needs to be social. I can talk to the TV, but the TV is probably not going to talk back.
But it could be used as a way to spread. Like in Japan, you have this TV show like maybe for 36 hours. Like it's a rally, I don't know what. Like they try to raise funds for disease or like very famous person, go to some places and interact with people. So the TV is a way to show and to spread the word. Like, so I don't know if we can order.
But they might also use Facebook and Twitter to spread that message, to donate for that. Yeah.
But TV, it is a TV broke the Berlin Wall.
Oh, the Berlin Wall.
Because if German government failed, East German life is good, West is bad.
Yeah.
But East German could watch the West German life.
Sure.
Happier, wealthier.
Yeah.
So East German people got angry and rushed to the Berlin Wall and war. It is so. But now it's not TV, it's Twitter,
Exactly.
Both sending information.
Exactly. But that's a perfect example, because in a few slides I'm going to talk about how would history have gone differently, how would social movements like the Berlin Falling, how would that have gone differently if people were tweeting and using Facebook, and if they had line to message each other? How would that movement have gone differently? So it's a really good example. Yeah, exactly. But there's a new word. It's a combination of the word slacker and activism called slacktivism. So on your sheet it says slacker, a person who regularly avoids work and lacks a strong work ethic. So somebody who just never wants to work, who's really lazy, they're called a slacker. So when you combine the word activism, which is a person who's very active, with slacker, the person who's very lazy, it's kind of an interesting word. So it's a pretty new concept. It started with social media. So slacktivism. So you can see slacktivism. Okay.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with the Generation X that are nicknamed as the Generation?
Kind of like the new millennials, like you mean like the younger generations? Yeah, absolutely. So now they kind of say that, yeah, maybe people my age or a little bit younger are considered slacktivists. People who just sit at their computers all day. And so here's kind of a good example. It's kind of a fuzzy image, but it says, one more status liked, one more problem solved. So he's sitting on his computer and he likes a status on Facebook and he thinks that he has solved a problem because he liked something. So maybe the Red Cross on Facebook said, donate $10 to the Nepal relief efforts. Instead of him donating, he just likes the status. He just says, I'll like that. But he doesn't actually donate any money. So he would be considered a slacktivist, somebody who thinks that they're really active because they like things on social media. They might retweet something. Yes?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
The one of that kind of people has a disease. It comes from the reason of the disease of the mentality sickness.
I'm not sure I understand your question. Do you understand?
Like you think it's
Yeah.
kind of disease like
Yeah, such kind of people.
I mean, it's not a disease. No.
No.
It's just it's a type of mentality. It's just, now that we're on our computers so often, like many people my age sit on Facebook and Twitter all day reading. And so instead of actually going and volunteering and chaining themselves to a tree or serving food at a homeless shelter,
Lazy.
yeah, they might just go on Facebook and like a status saying like donate money, but they don't actually donate money. They just like things on Facebook.
it's yeah.
Could you understand the word people like them in Japanese? It's
Mito?
Mito. It's I think NEET is a little bit different from that. NEET would be somebody who is afraid of society, who don't want to, who doesn't want to work, or it's this kind of person he might have a job, might be have many friends, and just a type of mentality. Just thinking you are doing something good, but you are just clicking on your computer.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's what NEET is a little bit different. NEET could be like more considered as a mental disease, like not a mental disease, but like being afraid of society, of interaction with others. So you cannot work, you cannot go to school, you cannot. It's kind of more deep. Problem than this kind of person who can be absolutely normal, but just I want to show I'm a good person, like you say.
yeah, I can see.
You described it perfectly.
He's looking, not looking.
Oh, that's kind of what they're called hipsters in America. It's kind of difficult to describe. This is what many American men look like, with the mustache and the glasses and the hat. But yes, it's not a disease, and people will have jobs and they'll have friends, but when they get home and they log into Facebook, they'll just be like, I'm such a good person, like. Yeah.
So they're like armchair activists.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. Armchair activist. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna write that down. I like that. Perfect. Yes.
NEET means no education,
Not
no
education.
employment, no training. Young people. There are 1 million young people in Japan.
Really?
NEET.
That's surprising. Japanese people love to work. That's surprising. Love to work. So, types of slacktivism. So this is another word, clicktivist. So this is clicking. So activist and clicktivist, somebody who just clicks on a link and likes a website, or shares a picture or image. They only click on things. They are not active at all. Maybe they follow the fan page of a famous person and they think that that is being active by clicking it. So here are some examples. So, I don't know if you know this example, but this was an iPod from 2000, maybe 5 or 4. It's a red iPod. iPod, yeah. iPod. Every time you purchased the red iPod, money was donated to an AIDS HIV organization run by Bono from the band U2. So the organization was called Red. So every time that people bought this iPod, money was automatically donated to this organization. So you didn't have to do anything to donate the money, you just bought the iPod that you already wanted. You were going to buy the iPod because you wanted one, but you just chose a red one because it also donated money to an organization. So that's kind of an example of slacktivism. Because you didn't have to do anything special, you just bought the iPod that you already wanted. But slacktivism isn't all bad. So slacktivists are 2 times as likely to volunteer their time, 2 times as likely to ask for donations, 4 times as likely to encourage others to sign a petition or contact a politician. I know this is very small, so I'm sorry if you can't read it. 2 times as likely to take part in an event. So here we go. Red Cross raised $20 million in 5 days after the Haiti earthquake through text message donations. So people texted their bank account information, 10,000 texts per second at one point. And 59% of people say that the internet has had a major impact on their ability to get individuals together to make social change. So people connect on the internet and they all have one passion that they care about. So for example, one of my passions is animal rights. So I'm a vegetarian. I care a lot about adopting animals from animal shelters, not buying dogs and cats from pet stores. So maybe I will go online and try to find a group of people who also are really passionate about animal rights. And maybe we will get together and organize an event.
Veterinary doctor.
I would love to be a veterinarian, but I am not smart enough to be a veterinarian, unfortunately. I just want to hug animals. I don't want to have to put shots in them. So slacktivists aren't all bad. They do volunteer, they ask for donations, but sometimes they do just sit behind their computer screens and click that they like things. So, who is this? Martin Luther King, perfect. I have a dream, exactly. So he was a major person in the United States Civil Rights Movement, which happened from 1954 to 1968. Here he is in the front leading some major protests. It says, end segregation rules in public schools. Yeah, a lot about jobs. More jobs now. I can't really read a lot of those signs, but we demand equal rights now. We march for first-class citizenship now. Here they are being sprayed during their marches. And then one of the major movements of the civil rights movement was the lunch counter sit-ins, because African Americans were not allowed to sit at the lunch counter. Only white people were able to. Which is just crazy to me, that in 1954, African Americans were not allowed to sit at the lunch counter. So here they are staging a sit-in where they're not supposed to be sitting, and the restaurant is trying to not serve them. They're saying, we're not going to give you food, you are not able to sit here. So Here's some white people uncomfortably sitting next to this African American woman while they eat and she doesn't have any food. This guy looks really uncomfortable. So how would the lunch counter sit-ins gone differently if they had social media and the technology of today? So with the person next to you, think about how the civil rights movement, or maybe how the Berlin Wall falling, or any major historical movements, how those might have gone differently had we had Facebook or Line or YouTube or Twitter. How do you think that the lunch counter sit-in maybe would have gone differently if these people all had cell phones? Right?
In New York, sitting in sushi counter.
The sushi counter?
Yeah.
Oh.
In supermarket in New York.
What?
The sushi counter in New York.
Yeah.
I sent them sitting.
Before? In the past?
Yeah, 2 years before.
Oh, 2 years. It's okay now. You can. Everybody can sit over there freely. No,
Yeah.
that's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, so no, this isn't a problem anymore. Everybody can sit where they want. There is still terrible racism in America against African American people, but they can sit where they want. So I want you to just for a few minutes talk with the person at your table about how you think major historical movements would have gone differently. If these people had Facebook accounts, if they had Line, how do you think these movements would have changed? Do you think maybe they would have happened faster? How would they have been different if we had social media? So just discuss for just a few minutes with your
2
table.
minutes.
安いとかもしれない情報がするだけですよね。不満を述べるわけですね。なんとかなら
Many more people will join. Communication is easier, so maybe take a picture and then many people in other places will do the same thing. Maybe faster. Spread very fast. I It could be another side, yeah, of course. You can control people too, but as she said maybe before, like social media, you need to so you have a reason, you have an answer. Maybe TV, radio, television, radio, newspaper. You just read and you just access information. So propaganda is easy. Like government says that you just receive information, but social media, like Facebook or Line or I don't know, everybody is speaking to each other. So if the government trying to say something, somebody will say at some point, no, it's not true. The government is lying, and other people will say, yeah, that's right, government is lying. So finally, won't be a good thing for. I think this is a big difference. Before with TV or television, radio, it was really easy to control people. And that's why today I see Korea, North Korea, China, they don't want social media. They cannot compete. Only a but China they need social media too, and there are some Chinese social media, not Facebook, not only Chinese people use, so they can keep the information inside. If they authorize Facebook, you will have many information from the abroad will come. So China tries to accept social media, but only Chinese social media, so they can control it easily. And of course, they cannot control everything. So that's why there are some people against the Chinese government. And in North Korea, it's even stronger. Like many people say you cannot go abroad, so you don't have anything, you don't have internet. So you just have the TV, the radio, and newspaper from the government. That's the only information you have. So everybody is controlled that the truth is. But China is too big, people are traveling abroad, bringing new ideas, bringing new things. So at some point it will be impossible for the Japanese government. And that's a good thing. Social media. I don't like social media, but I have to recognize like it can help to implement, to bring new ideas when your country is a danger. I don't use it, but it could be a good way, and really easy way to spread an idea. Like, be careful that we are like killing people over there, nobody knows it, but you put it on social media and everybody knows. So have to be afraid, so take care, be careful. So that's a good.
Okay, let's bring it together.
It's different, more private, more slowly.
Sorry. So I'm very curious to hear what you discussed. So for a kind of a new example, a current example of this, of discrimination. So this is a major case of discrimination, not serving black people at the counter. So now, in many different countries, there are cake companies who make wedding cakes, who are not making wedding cakes for gay couples. They're refusing to make wedding cakes for gay couples, okay? So I personally think that they should make cakes for everybody who is in love. So now people are using Facebook and Twitter and social media to say, this company is terrible, they're not making my cake for my wedding, this is major discrimination, do not go and use this cake company. So now this cake company is losing money because people now are like, oh my gosh, you are terrible, you are not serving everyone in your community, you are discriminating. So it's kind of a newer example of this, of discriminating against African Americans. So what did you talk about? Do any of you want to share how you think the lunch counter sit-ins or maybe different historical movements would have gone differently if we had social media and cell phones? How do you think this would have gone differently? Anything interesting you talked about? So I think speed would have changed everything, because with a text or with a picture on Facebook, I mean images, you can send so quickly, pictures. So if this image or other images like this of the protests, of all of these pictures would have been tweeted saying, this restaurant isn't serving us, do not go to that restaurant and give them money until they let us sit at the lunch counter. So I think that a lot of these movements would have happened much more quickly because the information would be spread much more quickly. Also, I think more people would have been involved because you can just tweet to the entire world saying, this is an issue that is happening. Come downtown and march with us. Come march with Martin Luther King Jr., the most famous civil rights movement leader of our time. I mean, if people were tweeting, Barack Obama is going to be on Main Street in your community today to march, millions of people would come and show up and march with him. But if we didn't have social media, maybe he would just have, 10 of his friends with him. So, do you have any things you'd like to add? Do you think,
No, that's what we said in our group, like
Okay,
it will be spreading very fast around
exactly.
community, and so yeah, it makes things going very fast.
Exactly, and more global. I mean, I don't know if everybody in the world knew what was happening in the United States during the civil rights movement. Maybe in Japan, people weren't aware in 1954 that people could not be served at the lunch counter sit-ins. But now that we have all this social media, everybody around the world has access to this information. So, there is something called the active citizen continuum. Continuum. So continuum just means kind of, what is another word for continuum? Like it starts here and it progresses. So it starts with member. You are a member of your community. You are not concerned with your role in social problems. So you live maybe in Mito, but you don't really care what problems are happening in Mito. You work and you have your family, but you don't really care if the schools are bad or if people are homeless or hungry. So you don't really care about the social problems happening in your community. That is the very beginning of the continuum. You're just a member of your community. Then there's the volunteer, somebody who cares about the issues. Your children are in school, so you care about the schools, but maybe you don't know a lot about the issues. You're not very educated about the issues. They're important to you, but you don't know a lot about them. And the conscientious citizen, that's definitely a difficult English word, I'm sorry, conscientious. Conscientious is just somebody who is very concerned or aware of social problems. They not only know that poverty is a problem in Mito, but they want to know why is poverty a problem? Why are the schools failing? Why are people hungry? Why don't people have access to affordable housing? So they want to know why are these problems happening. And then finally, the active citizen, somebody who thinks that their community is very important in their life, and every choice that they make, they think about their community and they value their community. So you start off with being a member of your community, then you start to educate yourself about the social issues in your community, and then you start to ask, why are these things happening in my community? Why are there children at my schools who don't have money for lunch? What is happening with their parents? Do they have parents? So you start asking why. And then finally, the active citizen is the person who starts trying to change these social issues. So now that you've seen the 4 roles, I want you just to think to yourself for maybe a minute. Do you consider yourself a member, volunteer, conscientious citizen, or active citizen? So right now, what do you think about yourself? What level are you at? You don't have to share, but just think right now about your life and how you lead your life and what you consider yourself to be.
Depends on the program.
Okay. Yeah, you can't be an active citizen for every social problem in the world, but you can be an active citizen for one social problem. Yeah, you don't have to care about everything that's happening in the world, it's impossible. But if you try to be educated about what is happening in your community, or if you start taking action, so just think about if you are a member, a volunteer, a conscientious citizen, or an active citizen. You're like, yes, active citizen.
Just so you know.
So now that you know in your head if you are a member, or an active citizen, or conscientious citizen, volunteer, what is something that you are really interested in or passionate about? So I don't know if all of you are retired or if you work during the day. I know that you are here right now, so maybe you don't have full-time jobs. So, so think about, how do you spend your time? Do you spend your time doing things that you are passionate about? Are you working towards solutions to social problems?
I spend my time watching TV.
Watching TV? And coming here.
And I'm being in the knowledge of all the things in Japan.
Okay.
And I have no need to hear them speaking and me to speak anything